No matter who you are, I'm yours.
Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and today we are going to break down my track, Yours. I have it open here in front of me in Ableton. This was made with Complete Start, which is a brand new bundle of instruments and effects that Native Instruments has just released, and it's completely free. And we're running a contest right now to see what you can do remixing this track. There will be details about that in the description, and there's a whole bunch of great Native Instruments stuff up for grabs as a prize. So you heard a bit of the song at the start of the video. I won't play the whole thing because it's available on my channel and, Spotify and everywhere. It started with this bass line. And that ended up turning into the pre-chorus bass line, and it was just a thing that I was kind of feeling in this synth wavy mood. This was made with Analog Dreams, which I used a ton on this project because when we got into that 80s vibe, this was the perfect instrument for it. So I had this bass line going and I started messing around with some drums. I'm using the Bangarang and the Chevelle 70 kits. And when I had those elements, I actually wrote the verse, pre-chorus, and chorus just with the bass and the drums, just doing variations on those things. So I'm gonna play you a little bit of those parts with the instruments that I eventually ended up adding. In the verse, there's just an additional guitar.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
So there's a little variation in that bass line. There's some space between the notes, and I've doubled it with some palm muted guitar. And the guitar is actually being run through, of course, some Complete Start tools. Here are the settings in Guitar Rig. It's just the jump, amp, and cabinet, and a tube compressor. When the pre-chorus comes in, I add 3 layers of synths.
I know you've been afraid.
This might be my favorite sound in the whole song. It's the Chords of Banada preset in hybrid keys. Just a beautiful vintage analog sounding synth line. And I'm doubling that up with an Analog Dreams preset called Rattlesnake while I'm opening the filter on it. That creates the build into the chorus. I use this ethereal earth preset called Slow Creeper for the chords. Just a basic G flat major to B flat minor. And then when the chorus hits, we are in 80s synth zone. So I doubled up the bass and it's just doing this driving 16th note thing. That's our original bass sound. And it's layered up with a track 1 bass. And that just gives it a little bit more aggression, a little more edge. So together they're like this. I added some bigger drums from the Digitalo kit. That's layered on top of our original drums, and it's got a bit of reverb from Ableton on it. I also dropped this impact sound in from the Vintage Machine kit. The guitars are still doubling what the basses are doing. But there are these added strummed chords that I just hold, and they have very similar settings to the other guitars, except I've also added this chorus flanger effect. And I've panned them left and right. And then we got a bunch more synths. Hybrid keys on another preset doing this, along with the bass line again. It really doesn't sound like much, but when you add it into the whole track, it just fills it out in a little way that I really like. It's nice, it's got a piano tone to it, but you can't tell really, like, is it a synth, is it a guitar? It just gives some good mid-range meat. That sounded disgusting. And then I love these sounds. We've got 2 layers of horns. They're different Analog Dreams presets. I'll play them for you individually. That fake horn sound used to be my least favorite thing in the world about 80s music, and then a few years ago, I just completely 180'd on that 180, and I just fell in love with that sound. Like, I can appreciate it ironically and sincerely at the same time. There's something just so pure and childlike about it. Like, we're trying so hard to be trumpets, but this is the best that we can do. A couple more layers. That Chords of Banada synth from before is doing this arpeggio on top. And I've also doubled it with another Analog Dreams preset. So hearing all that together, no matter who you are, spring chorus, I add one thing. It's this flute. And it layers up with the other arpeggios like this. It's just in the background, kind of being a counterpoint, just adding a little bit more sparkle to that. I just like throwing in little details like that. Have no idea if anybody ever notices them. Up until this point, this song was really writing itself, and it's all pretty much based around that G flat to B minor chord progression. Right at the end of the chorus, I throw in a little A flat as well. But then one of my favorite parts happened in the bridge where I wanted to try something new, and I was messing around with some chords and ended up with some stuff that's a little bit more open, some more extended chords. So that's a G flat, A flat, D flat, B flat minor progression, but they're all like sevenths and ninths, so there's a lot of nice flavor. And at this point, I was also inspired to try a little tempo change, so I'll play it coming out of the chorus.
I've been dreaming for a long, long time.
So by having all the rhythmic elements fall away, you're kind of just floating and don't fully know what the new tempo is. It just feels different, maybe a little slower. And then when the bass and hi-hat come in a little later, you realize we're in this triplet feel now.
Call you mine.
And then I keep building this up with layers of vocals, and almost every synth that I used before ends up creeping back in. At the height of it, I've got 9 layers of my vocals in there.
Sundown for 1,000 flames. Stand out in the pouring rain.
And then we're into this really cool part where we transition back to the original tempo, and we have that pre-chorus arpeggio in there. Just creeping in while all the synth filters are sweeping up. And then when everything drops out except for that original pre-chorus arpeggio, you kind of realize that we've been in the same tempo the whole time. Listen to this transition and just see where it feels to you like the 16th notes aren't doing 6/8 anymore, but they're 16th notes in a 4/4 bar again.
Call out my name, and I will be yours, and I will be yours. No matter who you are.
So I was pretty happy when I came up with that. That's a nice smooth transition between two related tempos, but very different feels. And the nerdy part of me really wants to appreciate that I didn't even have to change the tempo in the project. It's just been 89 this whole time, and I'm just using 16th notes in groups of 3 rather than in groups of 4. The one final instrument I haven't talked about yet in this piece is the lead synthesizer. Again, Analog Dreams, these amazing 80s sounds. This is a preset called How Does It Feel? And the solos that I played were a combination of live playing and programmed stuff. So I just messed around doing some stuff, figuring out what I liked. And then also you'll see some of the modulation was played in, like these really messy pitch bends I did, and then there was some that I did by hand just to get the exact perfect vibrato that I wanted. So those are all the elements that make up my new song, Yours, which is out now on all platforms. You can get the Complete Start bundle for free right now. It's out, it's on Native Instruments' website, which will be linked below. And of course, don't forget to enter our remix competition on Metapop. That's linked in the description below. Huge prizes from Native Instruments up for grabs. Hope you'll check it out.
No matter who